Hey everybody, it's Lynn here from A Bit of Birdsong, and I have the journal that you saw in the last video, and it's the one that I mentioned on, I guess it was yesterday, when I said I knew I wouldn't be able to stop until this one was finished. This is the journal that I was talking about, and I think this is currently my favorite. I say that about a lot of them because you kind of fall in love with them when you're working in them. Some of these journals I just put so much into, and I think we're all that way. And when you're done, it's just such an amazing feeling to have a completed journal that really is a work of art. So this one was inspired by a midweek fun pack a couple of weeks ago. And it was especially because of some certain papers, this textured paintable wallpaper that was in the pack. So I used mine just to make journal pages, and I also used some of the book pages that were in here. So let's just flip through and I'll show you as we go through. This is what we ended up doing on the front. In that last video, I did go ahead and paint the whole front of this with Mod Podge. So far, this tape has not tried to roll up. I do want to learn a little bit more about this technique. I love the fabric. I love the way this gold picks up the gold stripes there. It's not the exact same color as this, but I think it works, especially with the black. And we have the strings on the outside that just have all different kinds of blue buttons. And then on the back, you can see the corrugated cardboard. Another element that was in that pack was that everybody got a new bottle of paint. And I used that to really inspire the entire color palette in here. I painted the outside of this cardboard cover with that paint and added some white paint or white gesso. You can use either. And the pack also had this grungy trim, and you can see that I have dropped some dots of the alcohol pearl just right into the tassels. So once we get inside, oh, and it's important to go back and note that the name of the journal is Once, and that ties in with all of these old photos. And you can kind of say it before each picture: once I was young. And we have this beautiful image of this young man here. And I am hoping that you can see him okay. The light does give a little bit of glare, but I think you can probably see it. There is a little drop of the alcohol pearl here. I just went through and used beautiful fabrics, and then I used a vintage stamp set. This one right here with the little letters is one of my favorite finds. And I used the letters to just stamp each page. So there is a young man, probably from the late 1800s. We have a lot of fabric featured in this one. And you can see where I painted the wallpaper. Now I left it blank here, and when I went back and looked through it for the last time, I thought, oh, I left a white spot, but I like it. I like that. It's just got pieces of fabric. There is some black cheesecloth. There's handmade paper. And this is one of the reasons I love to make paper and keep it on hand, even if it's very coarse. I don't usually iron it. I like to use it as elements in the pages. And of course, there's a mix of color here. There's that metallic blue. We have some yellow and green. And the music pages, so let me say this. You can see here, there was one of the pages from the book that had the dolls in it. And then there's a music page. I tore these down to varying degrees and then glued these 3 pages together because I could tell this was going to start getting too thick. You can see even now it doesn't sit completely flat, but it's not too bad. I'm totally okay with the way it ended up. And I was strategic. There were some pages that I tore out completely because they didn't serve me. Although some that I tore out, I ended up just ripping little chunks out of those pages to get the color from them. So you can see this says love you. It looks like it's going to say darling. She just says I once was. So this is probably one of the few pages. I think there are a couple that don't go like once, so on. But it's all about those who have departed and their life here. And different things that you might think about someone who has been lost. I think a lot of the pages have glitter. I won't say each page, but when I put the Mod Podge over the images to protect them, sometimes I would sprinkle little things into that Mod Podge while it was wet. And I love this. So this was the book page from the children's book that is a lion. and I love this bright color. A lot of times when we use old photographs, I feel like what we want to do is go with an old, just white fabric, grungy fabric. But these people lived, they were alive. They had color in their lives. They probably loved colors and loved, being alive and doing things. So we have this young man. I recently found this photograph, an old photograph, but it was a reproduction of an old photograph. I was still happy to get my hands on it. It looks maybe 1930s to me. And this page says, "I protected when I was here." So I like to think he was probably young and married and having a young family. And these cords in the center have just got these tiny glass beads all the way down. And we have the lion like a protector. So I used bright colors around him. And again, there is some of the black cheesecloth. And then this page, oh, I love this. And I hope you're seeing them without the glare. So this is an old photograph I recently bought at Granddaddy's Antiques in Burlington. The two sisters with the long curls. And this is another page that doesn't really go with one. This is "May We Go Back Now." And you could take that either way. You could take that they have departed and we've kind of pulled them from their rest to think about them and remember them, but they want to go back. Or you could think about, maybe they've departed and they want to come back here. I like to think about it the other way, that they have gone on to a place with more peace and just, the wonder of life after, and they want to stay there. And this is a really beautiful tile. I had several of these, and I don't know if I've ever even used one, but I love the way it picked up the purple. And we just have a little string over here. And then this, I was so excited to use this. I don't know if you remember when I took a large sheet of paper and melted crayons. And in some places the crayon will just crack off. You can see it there. But I kept thinking, I know something is going to present itself for using this paper. This paper is so tactile, and these are children, so I just tore a piece of that off with still got the crayon on it, and glued that down. I have more of the black cheesecloth. I took just this black ink, Sanford's roll-on stamp pad inker. It says quick dry black, and in some pages I just used ink. I used ink to cover up the letters I didn't want to see. And then here it says, "With all my soul, I guarantee." I tried to keep the words that felt meaningful with the photographs. So that's the end of the first signature. We have a picture here because I wanted to open the book and see a picture. But in all the rest of these, I just kind of showcased the paper. And you can see where it's been painted, the different colors. And once again, I came back with just a little bit of black in different places. And this actually has some of the purple alcohol pearl as well. And then, she's so cute. You can see the purple glitter. It says, "So once it was fun." And the words in this song say, "Those boys." It's just really cute. And that's one of the pieces of fabric that is so crinkled. I believe in a recent pack, there was some fabric that was really crinkled up, and I intended for it to be that way. And I even mentioned it. I just glued this down with all the crinkles and wrinkles and put the picture on top of it. And we've got Mod Podge on there. And these pictures, I tried to make sure that they were all totally dry in pretty quick order because, again, I have an inkjet printer, not a laser printer, and the ink will run with an inkjet, and sometimes you get these weird colors. You can already see some pink and purple in some of these, and we will just see what happens over time. I'm okay with it. So then in the center here we have this little girl, probably with her mother, and I love the colors on this page. We have the bright yellow, and then we have this fabric piece with the burgundy sort of floral designs and these green diamond shapes. There again is a piece of the melted crayon paper. Once I was her dear child. And in the center on these, we've got tiny little black and yellow beads and one little ass heart bead that it looks like it's got the cracks in it. And again, some more black cheesecloth, and you can see where I put some of the little sparkles like this just in the wet Mod Podge. I love that you can see the white design through the paint on that page. And then Once I Was Wild. I love this page. Doesn't she look fun? She's got her hat on. She looks like she's traveling. I did add some gold leaf to these pages, and one of the book pages, the children's book pages that I got, was the zebra. So I just used the color to kind of build up around that, and I'd used some gesso on it because I didn't want it to just be a glaring children's book page. I wanted it to add some meaning, and you can see there's a part of the page torn off under there, and then a piece of really sort of ratty fabric. It looks like it, I think it was part of some sort of bedspread or something. So that's just glued there at the top. I don't think there's anything else on this page, except actually there's part of another children's book page under there, and that was a mouse, and it was so cute, but I wanted to just use these color elements. Sometimes I make something and I don't really know what it's going to turn out to be, and it was the same with this. Some of the doll book pages I ended up tearing out completely, and I used parts of them. So it's okay to change your mind as you're going through and to alter things or tear things out. And actually, that's one of the doll pages. You can see part of the shoulders of the dress up there, and I think it gives just enough of an image of a dress that if you sat there and looked at it, you might figure out what it is. So once I was a friend, and you can see all the girls here on their bicycles, and we have just a fiber from the fabric glued under there, some more of that crinkly fabric, and then a little piece of handmade paper. And this, again, there's the black ink, and then a piece of fabric that I think just is really pretty to pick up the blue. Some of these colors run through, like the next page we go to a lot of red, and this has just a tiny bit of red in it here. Once I loved cats. There's a children's book page, and you can see the cat behind all the gesso, and you can see her. She's got her arms folded. You can see there's a little bit of green in this photograph. The inkjet printers, they do change color a little bit. I know I've mentioned that 100 times, but it is important to know, and you just kind of have to be okay with it. And here is just a piece of butterfly fabric. This came from the most recent fun pack that just was listed Friday, and those are sold out. And then I used Mod Podge here to put this really pretty gold thread all across her photograph. And the beads on this one are kind of a pink color, but I just went through my beads and found glass beads that would fit here. Oh, I love this page. This green is just striking, and this photograph is so sweet. We have two little girls, and you can tell the photograph was very damaged. I think this came from a museum online, and there are some museums, the Smithsonian might be one, well, it used to be, who knows what's happening now, but they had collections that were in the public domain that you could use. And of course, I'm not selling this. I just printed this out to use. Look at the smocking in the dress there, and then the beautiful little flowers on their dress, and it looks like she has some flowers around her wrist as well. You can tell the photo was damaged. It was already like that. There's a little piece of the paper with the crayons, and then here are some petals from a flower, and then this says, I hoped. Once I hoped. And we can just imagine the things they might have hoped for in that time period. And I just love this green fabric across here as well. And then we come to the last signature, and this bright blue. I just love these bright colors with the old photographs. And this book just kind of evolved as I was working on it. Once I believed things could change. And this is a photograph from the 1800s, probably like the 1870s or something like that. And just pieces of fabric. I love this gauzy light blue with the darker blue. And there's handmade paper under there, and another piece of fabric. And then once I made their clothes, and we've got the black beads. It's just really pretty with this sort of blue-green. And I did add just some spots of this same bright green that was over here. And we have some gold glitter on their page. Let's see, she's got glitter. They have gold leaf and some glitter. No glitter on this page, but we have the gold in the paper. I just really enjoyed thinking about these people who were once alive, and you know, the color and the vibrancy in their lives, because everybody, you know, you live and then we're not here anymore. We don't really even know how to represent these people that we didn't know. So I decided to give them bright colors and fun stories. Once I Loved. And we have a very faded old picture. Also, this is a CDV, probably from like the late 1800s, mid to late 1800s. And you can tell by looking at the dress and the clothes, the hairstyles. She's got a few of the sparkly things, some of the handmade paper. I first knew Loves, and it looks like it's gonna say Delight. So again, I love just being really strategic with the book pages that had music. This just said appeared under here. Maybe a change appeared for her. So I just love this. I just absolutely fell in love with this as I was making it. And I'm gonna be taking this one inside to put in the art closet. I think that would be really good for it, especially considering, you know, the inkjet images on here. Probably gonna stand it in the front of that shelf and trade it up with one of the ones that's standing there now, kind of on display. I really love the art closet that Jason and I created. Well, that is all for this one. This was just a favorite one, the way it turned out. And thank you so much for watching. I will be back really soon. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it on social media. Bye for now.